Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Crypto, Coffee and Lo-Fi. Before we get started, a special thanks to Bybit for sponsoring this series. If you want to help us out and help the series out, click the link in the description and sign up. So we have a pretty big week coming up. Just taking a look at the higher time frame charts on BTC and ETH, it looks like we're starting to see a bullish break in structure on the H4 and daily. So if we do continue to follow through, I think the best option is to long going into CPI. Once CPI does hit, or just before or just after, if we start to get some distribution, then cutting the longs and looking to get short. So we're going to cover BTC, ETH, the dollar. I want to look at MicroStrategy and coin as well as a few altcoins. All right, let's get stuck into it. So starting off with ETH. So if you aren't aware of what my strategy is, we'll pop up a quick video now, and that should cover the basics. But for those that have been around for a little while, you can just skip right through that. So the first thing I want to do is just mark out a potential channel that we could be sitting in for the next couple of months to a year. Okay, so marking this out, the chart that we're seeing now does look pretty clear. Just waiting on the daily close here. A few things could change, but it looks like that we are going to see a bullish close. So if you did just watch the tutorial, you'll see that for the most part, my strategy is just based off of one pattern and one pattern only. So let's dive into this here and see if we can find this pattern to see if price is accumulating and distributing, and find some potential levels that we could look to take action at. Okay, so for the most part, this strategy is just a waiting game. I might not take a trade for a week or 2 weeks, but once price reaches into the levels that I'm watching, then I have an actionable plan. We have this channel here. Now, the next thing to do is just to mark out sweeps and potential areas of liquidity. If we go all the way down here, let's start down here. As I go through this video, you'll get a better idea of my strategy and how I come to the conclusions that I do. So we have a sweep there, and then we have a break in structure. We then return to the range between this high and this low, and we get another sweep and another break in structure. This high here being the most prominent high that was responsible for taking out that low. Now we have marked these out on the downside now, so we can find anything to the upside. So we have a sweep right here, and then we have a break in structure. So this low right here is the low that was responsible for taking that high. And then we have another sweep right here and another sweep. Okay, so just to recap my thought process here. So we've taken out all of these lows. Oh, this is the high, or even this high right here that was responsible for taking those lows. So we take the lows, then we run up and we start to close up above these highs. So now we do have some accumulation lying within this range. So if price is going to maintain its bullish structure, then the previous areas of accumulation need to hold. So here is accumulation, this range here between this high and this low. Now we have new accumulation. So this low is taken out. You could say this high or this high all the way down to this low is the new accumulation range. So if we are expecting price to be bullish, then the accumulation range should hold. And now if we scale it back down, now we have a sweep of all these lows here. This is the high that was responsible for taking all of these lows. If price is going to maintain the bullish structure that we've seen today, then this new accumulation range needs to hold. So going into the daily close, or going into tomorrow's open, if we can retest this range and reaccumulate on the lower time frames, then I would expect to leg up. So we have an accumulation range here, and then we also have all of this liquidity. See how to the downside here, we reached down and we grabbed the lows and then shot up. Here, throughout all of this range, as we saw the grind down here, we didn't actually get any obvious sweeps. So we have equal highs here, equal highs here, equal highs here, and all the way up here as well. And on top of that, on the lower time frames, you can't really see it here, but we have a sweep and a break that has yet to be tested. So we had a sweep of this high, some distribution right at the high, and then the breakdown. We haven't yet retested that. And on top of this, we have all of these equal highs resting here. So of course we could just break down today, continue to move down. But I think now that we've printed this fresh accumulation, I wouldn't be surprised if we run up and at least take out these highs. Using the exact same thought process, once we reach into these highs and retest this distribution up here, if we get some more distribution, so something like this, and especially if this distribution occurs around CPI, then that would tell me that, okay, really this entire range has just been a distribution range. Looking to long over the next 24 to 48 hours. Once we do get into longs, looking to target this high. Once we reach into that high, if we get the distribution, then looking to swing short. If we get that swing short opportunity, looking at these equal lows and maybe even down at this low as a potential target. Now, let's say we don't get the distribution there. If we don't get any distribution here, then I think we take out this high and then also this high as well. Maybe even we could retest the top of this range. So this is why I don't really get stuck to any buys at all. I don't care if it's bullish, if it's bearish. I can be bullish 1 week and bearish the next. And that's simply because all I'm doing here is marking out levels and then reacting. Okay, I'm not going to sit there on Twitter and, pretend to be a perma bear when my buyers could just flip on a dime. Okay, so that's the game plan for ETH. Really, really simple stuff. We have some accumulation here, and we have more accumulation and then more accumulation. So if we can retest this and then on the lower time frames get some more accumulation, so let's say on the M15 or the hourly, something like this going into the daily open. And we can look to long into these highs. Once we reach into there, if we get distribution, then looking to swing short. If we don't get the distribution, holding the longs into this high, and possibly up here. Really, really simple game plan there. Let's move on to BTC. Pretty much the exact same. The only difference being that Bitcoin looks like it is a little bit stronger compared to ETH, but just like ETH, we have all of these equal highs and then we have the distribution up here. So let's start on the daily, get a little bit of a clearer picture of what's going on here, right? So we have all these equal lows right there. This is the high that was responsible for taking those lows. We revisit the range. So now we have an accumulated range. So we have a sweep and then a breaking structure. So now any reaccumulation inside this range is quite bullish. We have these equal lows right here that were then taken out. On the weekly, this is the most obvious high that took out all of these lows. You could say a little bit lower, and that's yet to be tested, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Down here, we're accumulating. This is bullish. So if we do think that price is going to continue to be bullish, it makes sense that the previous areas of accumulation hold. So accumulation there, let's see if we have some more. Both of these equal lows taken out. This was the high that was responsible for taking out that low, and this is yet to be tested. Okay, so that's important to keep in mind. Now let's break this down a little bit more. Let's go into the hourly. So just like ETH, it looks like we're starting to see some accumulation here. So we have all of these equal lows. They were taken out, and then just below them, we start to form a KSRP. If you don't know what a KSRP is, go onto my YouTube, or you'll find it somewhere on my Twitter. Very, very easy to follow process if you are the type of person that likes to get in early on a trend reversal. But for me, I don't like to trade these on their own. What I will do though is mark them out if I do see them occurring. It kind of gives me an extra bit of confidence. We have a sweep of all these lows. We have a KSRP, a sweep, and then a breaking structure below these equal lows. Signs that players are accumulating below the equal lows and using the liquidity below there to fill their positions. So we got the sweep, the break, and then we return to this accumulation range or the KSRP, and we get another sweep and another break. And we didn't get an opportunity to enter. Well, I didn't personally, but now that we've seen this accumulation, we can start to hunt for some longs. So we'll just have to wait and see how this daily closes. We still have just over an hour left. We don't want to see a rejection. Ideally, if we can close around these levels, then we could possibly look for scalp longs, just like ETH, into these equal highs right here. So we go onto the H4, see we got a sweep and then a breaking structure right here. And then all these equal highs resting inside of that distribution. So just like ETH, if we reach up above these equal highs and we do start to get some distribution, something like that, then that would be a pretty clear swing short signal. We've got this area of accumulation that's yet to be tested. We could use that. And then we've got this level right here. However, if we don't get that accumulation, so let's say we run up and we get a daily close inside of here, and let's say next week we get a weekly close up above here, then that would tell me that, okay, looks like we are going to be bullish. So just like ETH, all I'm doing is just marking out the levels, waiting for price to reach into those levels and reacting. I couldn't give a fuck if it's bullish or bearish. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So the levels are marked out. I've got a game plan. All I'm going to do now is wait for the levels to be tested and then take action once we reach there. So we've covered ETH, we've covered BTC. Let's move on. All right, another coin that I've had my eyes on for a few weeks now is Ocean. Okay, so we have this downtrend line marked out, and this, I don't really use downtrend lines or diagonal trend lines really at all, unless they're in conjunction with my strategy. So it looks like on the daily that we're ready for at least a small move up into 0.45. I'm going to explain this thought process here in a sec. So one, we've got a breakout of this trend line. The next thing that I'm also looking at is that we moved below all of these equal lows, and it looks like we have some accumulation below there. So moving below the equal lows, and just like the KSRP that I covered on BTC, it looks like we have one here on the higher time frames on Ocean. So we move below all these equal lows, then we get a sweep and a breaking structure. The first sign that players are accumulating at least below there. Okay, we then get this run up. Now we've been consolidating. We've then taken out these equal lows and we've broken up above the high that was responsible for taking those lows right here. And then we get some more accumulation. So a sweep of this low followed by a break right here, and then go into the H4. So a sweep of these lows, right at support, right at the previous area of accumulation. And it looks like we're starting to reaccumulate. So just like BTC and ETH, I think this is due for a leg up as long as this accumulation holds. If the accumulation fails to hold, we break through it and we get a daily close below, then that would be quite bearish. And I would look to target this low and possibly even this low to get short. Okay, but for now, we're sitting at support. We're sitting at a previous area of accumulation, and it looks like we are still accumulating. And then on top of that, we have all of these equal highs resting above here. So we have a few easy objectives to be looking at. All of these equal highs, this distribution up here. So we have a sweep and then a breaking structure. And then we've got all of these equal highs here. So once the daily closes, let's say we do get a bullish daily close here, looking for a retest of somewhere in this box. where I'll then look for lower time frame accumulation, so something like this. If we can get that, looking to get long, this is the first target, this is the second target, and then all the way up here above those equal highs is the third target. Now, also keeping an eye on BTC and ETH. If they do start to reach into those distribution areas that I was looking at and they start to redistribute, then obviously longing altcoins isn't a good idea. But for now, while ETH and BTC both have those upside targets, and while we are continuing to accumulate, I think Ocean is a pretty easy bet. So we'll just have to wait and see. All right, so just finishing off with the dollar here. Let's go on to the monthly, using the exact same thought process here that I have just done on everything else. Okay, so we have a sweep of all these lows. This is the high that was responsible for taking those lows. So now we have some accumulation. I know this is on the monthly, but all this is doing is just marking out potential levels where demand may start to kick in, or supply. Okay, so we return to the range and we get another sweep and another break. We return to the range again, get another sweep and another break right here. It is quite a wide range, so just keeping that in mind. For now, we've taken out all of these key monthly lows. Okay, so right here is a very pivotal moment. We could see a small pullback, and we do have, this high right here is technically the high that was responsible for taking all of these lows. So this is going to be quite pivotal. So right now, yes, we did move below these lows and we have seen a leg up, but we are still heading into resistance right here. So what could happen if BTC and ETH do start to follow through, and looking at ES as well, what could happen is that we see a retrace back to this level. If we do retrace back to this level, looking then on the daily and weekly time frame for some accumulation for a leg up there. However, excuse me, we also have this high being the high that was responsible for running out all of these lows. If we do get a daily or weekly close up above here, preferably a weekly, then to me, this would be a pretty solid signal for a potential bear market to return on BTC and ETH. So the plan is pretty simple here. We have this level that I'm looking at. We are headed into resistance. So if we start to retrace here and we continue to fall down, then looking at about $98 to get into some swing longs. If we don't reject though, and we continue up after CPI and get a weekly close up above this level, then I think longs on the dollar would make the most sense looking at this high right here. So pretty easy game plan across the board. We got some clean levels. We got CPI coming up. I think it's going to be quite a week. We'll see how we go. All right, so that concludes today's crypto, coffee, and lo-fi episode. I do think there's going to be a lot of clean opportunities coming up over the next couple of days. If you did enjoy this content, if you feel like you learned something, we have a free Discord where I share all of my analysis and all of my trade setups, as well as all of my strategy content. So click the link in the description below or in my Twitter bio and join the free Discord. No worries, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.